Namaskar, everybody. Good morning from Arizona. It's 6 a.m. in Arizona at this moment, and we have friends from all around the globe. Thanks to the Zoom technology, that today we can really meet via Zoom wherever we are. Today is a very special day. You must have heard in the Indian culture there's a profound saying, Vidwan Sarvatra Pujyate. And we have a Vidwan today, Dr. Yash Gupta, with us. He has exceptional experience. His name has been raised for his good work on the Royal Society of Medicine, London. And he has written a book which is exceptional, as the title says, that it is the science in Sanskrit Scriptures. Sanskrit is a very ancient India's language, very old language. Of course, today we are losing our connection with that language for the best reasons known to every one of us. Nevertheless, what he is bringing out to us is that the science can also be picked up from those Sanskrit scriptures. So, with these a few words, I'd like to invite Dr. Gupta to kindly share more about, sir, that what is in that book that is Science in Sanskrit. It's your time, sir.
Thank you, Sat Prashaji. It's very nice of you to invite me to this. Hang on. Can you see me? Can you see me all right? Yeah.
Yeah, I can see you, I can hear you clearly. I hope everyone else is able to do that.
Yeah, if you can. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, thank you very much. And I'm delighted and honored to be presenting something which is very close to my heart. I'm a trainee from MBBS from All India Institute of Medical Sciences. And after that, I left for London, and I've been in London for last 45 years. I've double FRCS, Fellow of Royal College of Surgeons, and I've done general trauma and plastic surgery. And it's very interesting that I was invited to Harvard Leadership Program in 2012. And there I happened to come across certain shlokas which opened my eyes to how much science was there in our Sanskrit scriptures. And I will just take you through that journey as to how I actually started working on it. And then I studied for 12 years. I studied all the scriptures, the main line as well as the others. So Brahma Samhita, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Purana, and Ishopanishad, Sushruta Samhita. So I studied everything. And then I put together this book. So basically, this is the old Sanskrit writing describing Mahabharata here. So Dhritarashtra, and you can make out some of the things. But the book itself is divided into about 10, 12 chapters, and it deals with creation and recycling of the universe, atoms and atomic time, mathematics and concept of zero, divine weapons, Brahmastra, Vimanas, aircrafts and spacecrafts, medicine and surgery, and also there is an epilogue on Kali Yuga. So I'll briefly go through some of the concepts that are described. And the good thing about this book is that I wanted it to be fully referenced. So there's nothing here that is not referenced. So when I put a reference, BG is Bhagavad Gita. It has got 18 chapters. So Shloka 9.7 will be, Shloka 7 from chapter 9. So BG 9.7 refers to 7th Shloka of the 9th chapter. Similarly, Bhagwatam Purana has 12 cantos. Each canto has got many chapters. So SB, Srimad Bhagavad Purana, would be 1.1.1 will be Canto 1, Chapter 1, Shloka 1. Similarly, Brahma Samhita is Chapter 5 and Shloka number. Similarly, Ishopanishad. And Sushruta Samhita has divisions, chapters, and shlokas. So I'll take you through some of these concepts. It's very interesting because I'm saying science here, and we all know that there are 8 planets which go around the sun. Our Earth goes around the sun, but the sun also has an orbit along with all its planets. It goes round the center of galaxy, and it takes 230 million years for it to complete one cycle, one orbit. And it goes at the speed of 480,000 miles an hour. Now, this fact was not known to modern science 100 years ago. 100 years ago, they did not know that sun has got its own orbit. And this is what happened. This is the orbit of the sun, but this is the shloka from Brahma Samhita. So when I was at Harvard, I came across this shloka, which is in Brahma Samhita, and it's a very ancient Samhita, and it is the prayer of Lord Brahma to Krishna at the beginning of the Kalpa, at the beginning of the creation. And Brahmaji is recalling that in the previous Kalpa, how did you create all this? And so in specifically in relation to the rotation of sun, that is the shloka. So I will recite the shloka. I'll repeat the shloka. Yachchakshuresha savita sakala grahanam raja samasta sura murti ashesh teja yasya agyaya brahmati samrato kal chakro govindam adipurusham tamam bhajami. So sun, like a divine eye in the sky, along with all its planet, I adore the primal Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order the sun performs its journey, mounting the wheel of time. So sun, along with all its planet, is going in its own orbit. This concept, which is not known to modern science 100 years ago, is found in this shloka, which is at least 6,000 to 7,000 years old, if not older. And this got me going. So in fact, I looked at when I was going through all these scriptures, I in fact found at what speed it was going. And you'll be amazed to know that this is from Bhagwatam SB. So Canto 5, chapter 21, 19th shloka says, Lakshotram sa navardi koti yojanam parimandalam bhuvalasya kshanena sa govyotram dvisahastra yojanani sabankate. So my dear king. So this, because this is being recited by Shuk Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, and so he's saying that is my dear king. So it's King Parikshit. He is being told to King Parikshit that in his orbit through Bhumandala, the sun god traverses a distance of 95.1 million yojanas, which is 760.8 million miles at the speed of 2,000 yojanas and 2 kroshas in a moment. So here in my book, I have calculated that moment to be 2 minutes. So the speed comes to 8,002 miles per minute. So multiplied by 60, it comes to 480,000 miles an hour. And this is an amazing description of speed of rotation of sun. We're not talking about the speed of rotation of Earth. We are talking about the speed of rotation of sun. So I was totally fascinated. Then I came across certain other things. In fact, this is a shloka from Bhagavad Gita. BG is Bhagavad Gita 8.17. So chapter 8, 17 shloka. Now here Krishna is telling Arjuna about this creation and the time scale of this creation. So he's telling in this shloka about a day of Brahma. Sahastrayug paryantam auryat brahmano vidu ratrim yug sahastrantam teho ratri vidujana. Sahastra is 1,000, yuga is here, this is yuga is Chatur Yuga, which is a combination of Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali Yuga. And this has been calculated in the scriptures to be 4.32 million years. So one Chatur Yuga, one complete Mahayug is 4.32 million years. And Sahastra Yuga 1000. So multiply 1000, that is 4.32 billion years. So know that to be the day of Brahma. Ratrim yug sahasrantam teo ratri vidujana ratrim, and such is the duration of night. So 4.32 billion plus 4.32 billion is 8.64 billion years. So know that to be a full day of Brahma. And Brahmaji lives for 100 years. So you multiply 100 times 360 times 8.64 billion, it comes to 311 trillions and 40 billion years. I've given these calculations in my book. So this is a full kalpa cycle. This is one kalpa cycle in which this is again referred to Krishna in chapter 9. He says, Sarva Bhutani Konteya Prakritim Yanti Mamikam Kalpakshay Kalpaddau Punastani Visrajamyam. So at the end of Kalpa, all living beings and everything comes into me. And that's a Kalpakshay, that is the end of Kalpa. And Kalpaddau, when the new Kalpa starts, Visrajamyam, and I recreate this at the beginning of every Kalpa. So this is an amazing time scale of our Srishti and its creation, and there are so many other details, and I could speak for hours, but I will just go on to show you some photos. Now these are taken from the James Webb telescope. So original telescope was Hubble telescope. So Edwin Hubble was an American scientist and astronomer rather. He first of all looked at the galaxies and multiple galaxies. So he found that it's not just our galaxy, which is the Milky Way. We have a sister galaxy, which is Andromeda. We have a Triangulum galaxy. Then he saw a lot more other galaxies. And then he found that these galaxies are actually going away from each other because the universe is expanding. And in fact, he calculated the Hubble constant for expansion of universe. Now, this is very interesting that 100 years ago, we did not know that there were more than one galaxies in the universe. And I came across this shloka in Brahma Samhita. This is a very interesting shloka. Ya karan narane vijale bhajati sma yog nidram ananta jagatanda saroma kupa adhar shaktim avlambe param samurtim govindam adipurusham tamam bhajami. So he's saying, oh Lord, you are lying on the causal ocean and innumerable galaxies are pouring out of the roam of your hair. I mean, innumerable galaxies. Anant, Jagatanda. Jagatanda is the galaxy because it is Andakar. The galaxy is, if you view from the side, it's egg-shaped. Jagatanda. Ananta Jagatanda Saroma Kupa. From pore of your hair, innumerable galaxies are pouring out. Now, here is a description of innumerable galaxies, and modern science only came to know about it only 100 years ago. So this kind of got me going further, and this is another, these are the pictures which have been coming from the James Webb telescope, which is kind of 1,000,000 miles from Earth, and it goes round the sun rather than going round the Earth, and it's taken some wonderful pictures. This is a famous quintet of galaxies. So after creation, I saw something which I started deciphering the origin of zero. So everybody says, oh, zero came from India, and who did it? It was Aryabhat. So Aryabhat was like 500 AD, so about 1500 years ago. And he had described in his Ganit Pada massive calculations of mathematics, pi, and the rotation of all the planets, speed, and everything. So he must have used the concept of zero a lot more before him. So I then figured out that there is a shloka in Isha Upanishad, which is called Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avshishyate. So this is a very ancient, and a lot of people know about this shloka, and they pray in this form because we are praying to the Lord, that we are saying that this is complete, that is complete, complete arises from complete, and complete taken out of complete, complete remains. So I started applying. I said, this is describing the cyclical nature. And I said, cyclical nature is for any continuation, like we have oxygen cycle, we have blood cycle, blood goes round in the body, and earth goes round, everything is going round because that is the only perpetual way. Cyclic way is the only perpetual way of, otherwise it's linear. It's if you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, infinity, it's a linear, so it goes into infinity. Nobody knows where it has gone. So, so, so then we said that on a circle, any point is the origin and the beginning and the end. So then we said that it should be denoted by a circle, then which was called zero. So I applied zero to this and say instead of purn, I'm saying shunya. So the shloka becomes shunyamadaha shunyavidam shunyat shunmidachyate shunyasya shunyamadaya shunyameva vishishyate. So if you take out 1 out of 1, 0 remains. 2 out of 2, 0 remains. But shunya is the only number in which shunya taken out of shunya, shunya remains. Shunyasya shunyamadaya shunyameva vishishyate. So this shloka actually is very profound shloka about the cyclic conception of life and creation, and is applicable to the number system, and in fact denotes zero. So it's a zero is a concept. So then as I was looking through, I came across people say, oh, we used to have Vimana, we used to have Brahmastra. But nobody actually, I did not come across any citations saying this is the shloka which is saying. So if I quote you a shloka from here, which is SB Srimad Bhagwatam Purana, this is, so 1.7.30 is Canto 1, Chapter 7, 30th shloka. So it says, Sammatyanyonyam ubhe tejasi shara samvrate avratte rodsi kamcha vavradhat arkavahini vrata. So this is just a small story which goes with it. Then you will understand this shloka a little bit more. So when at the end of Mahabharata war, when Duryodhan his leg had been destroyed by Bhima, so they had lost the war. So Ashwatthama goes and kills the Pandavas while they were sleeping in their beds. But then when he comes back, he realizes that Pandavas had gone out and he had killed Draupadi's 5 sons. So when Arjun comes, he goes after Ashwatthama, and Ashwatthama is cornered. So he had learned from his dad to invoke the Brahmastra, but he had not learned how to retract it. So he invokes the Brahmastra and he fires the Brahmastra. Then Krishna says to Arjuna that he doesn't know how to retract it, so you will have to neutralize it in the space. So Arjuna fires a Brahmastra to neutralize it in the space. So sammatyanyonyam ubhe tejasi shar samvrate, when the two Brahmastra collided, there was a massive ball of fire, ever increasing ball of fire, which covered the entire firmament of the space. So this is a wonderful, wonderful direct description, and this is what we will get and this is somebody actually took a photograph of it when this in Middle East, then Gaza war, the two missiles colliding, and this is the ever increasing ball of fire found in space, and this is something which kind of describes that. So these descriptions are all there, and so now I will tell you a little bit more about a work which is very close to my heart, which is Sushruta Samhita. In fact, I've been working on Sushruta Samhita for a long time, and I in fact presented this work at the Royal College of Surgeons, and I got a standing ovation because they did not know how vast the Sushruta Samhita was. We say it's 500 BC. That's a rough estimate. We do not know fully, but it has to be at least 500 BC, maybe long before. This is a conception of Sushruta. It's a conceptual drawing. And this is he's operating on the face of a patient who's lying down. And he's described that a theater should be clean, one should have had a bath, and there should be good lighting, and so on and so forth. And this, I was working at the Department of Plastic Surgery in Oxford, and I presented this paper, Origin and Propagation of Rhinoplasty. Now, this is a very interesting, I'll spend a few minutes trying to describe how this knowledge came to the West. So this is a lithography from 1791, a singular operation. This person is Kowaschi. He's a bullock cart driver, and he used to drive a bullock cart from Pune. He was driving to he went to Mysore, where Tipu Sultan said that you're a traitor, you work for the British. So he chopped his nose off. And when he came back, the in charge, the governor of Pune, who was an English guy at that time, he said, "This is a big slap on our face, and nobody should know that this has happened." So he said, "Look, I've heard that there are some Kumars, the potters, who actually reconstruct this nose. They know this art. So can you summon them?" So the Kumar was summoned, and there was a surgeon from England, and also there was a lithographic person who actually etched everything. So this is the interpretation. So he took a wax pattern and put it on the forehead, and then raised a flap, and then he created the nose from this flap. Now, so this was in 1791. And now, when I was doing plastic surgery, then they were referring, and I'd done some forehead rhinoplasties, taking the flap from the forehead and using it to reconstruct nose. But I didn't know that it's called Sushruta forehead rhinoplasty. So when somebody mentioned that it's called Sushruta's forehead rhinoplasty, I said, let me look up Sushruta Samhita and see where it has been described. So I started looking at Sushruta Samhita. So this is how Sushruta Samhita is. This is Sutra. There are Sutra Sthanams, and then chapter 1, and it says origin of Ayurveda. Athato Vedatpatti Adhyayam Vyakyasam. So this is very interesting because Ayurveda is very contemporary and is taking a lot of attention these days. So I'll just show you how scientific Ayurveda is. And it's not just Vaidyas and medicines and all this, but it is very, 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 very scientific. So Sushruta described the earliest known work on plastic surgery in the Sushruta Samhita. The book has 186 chapters written in Sanskrit language, and chapter 16 deals with some fundamental plastic surgery techniques. This book was translated in Arabic and was known as Kitab-e-Sushrut around 880. In fact, when they say Arabic numbers and all, it's just a misnomer because all the numbers are Sanskrit numbers. There are no Arabic numbers. And they translated Sushrut's book and around 880. So about 1200 years ago. And it used to be the standard textbook of medicine and surgery at that time. And then later on in Latin by Hessler, and in German by Wellers, and then English in Brishkatna in 1907. And then Dr. G.D. Singhal, whom I personally knew, he was a pediatric surgeon at Kashi, at Banaras in the university. And he translated in 1984, and he gifted me that translation. And so I'm quoting from that. So Ayurveda equals science of life. Ayur is life, Veda is science. So Ayurveda is science of life. And it's very interesting. It's the cure those who are afflicted with disease, and also to maintain the health of the healthy. This is the prevention aspect is actually encompassed in Ayurveda. And according to Sushruta Samhita, he divides into 8 subgroups: surgery, medicine, ophthalmology, ENT, obstetrics, psychiatry, pediatrics, toxicology. I mean, this reads like this is when we teach medical students and postgraduates, these are the subjects that we teach them in. So a little bit about 6th century BC in India. This is the map of India in 6th century BC, and this is Kashi, and this is Kaushala, where Ramchandraji, Ayodhya, and this is the Avanti and Cambodia and Gandhara. This is Afghanistan. So this is the map, Magadha, where the Patliputra Patna is. So this is where Sushruta used to practice. And from there, the knowledge was transmitted through Arabia, through the silk and the oil and trading routes into Europe. So so I'll just tell you some of the bits which Sushruta described. So reconstruction of lost earlobe using a piece of skin which is attached to the cheek and is alive by continuation. Now, this is the first ever description of a flap in the world literature. So now I'll show you the slides in which he's describing the rotation of a pedicled skin flap in the absence of ear lobule. So originally he described it for the reconstruction of the ear lobule. So the experienced surgeon should elevate a living flap from the connected at the base and should reconstruct the lobule after scraping. Sano bandhena jivita, that which is alive by its connection. Sanu bandhen. Bandhen means by its connection. Jivita means alive by its connection. So this is still the definition of a skin flap. And these are my interpretative drawings. So he must have raised a flap from here and then rotated it to go to the ear for reconstruction of the ear lobule. And then he describes rhinoplasty. So this same flap can be used for rhinoplasty as well. Now I'll describe the proper method of rhinoplasty when nose has been cut off. So this is in black and white. So this, and I've used this technique as well. This is cheek flap rhinoplasty. So you raise a flap from here, and then you make this area raw, and then you lift it up, and then you put the tree leaf pattern to make this size of the flap, and then you put the flap here, and then you close the defect, and then post-operative care. Look at this. He was a detailed surgeon, having examined the nose, and this is at least 2,500 years ago. Having examined the nose, which has been properly sutured and correctly shaped, the same should be fixed and by 2 tubes for breathing. And then this magic powder of red sandalwood, madhulika, rasayana should be sprinkled. I think we should try to make this powder. And then it should be dressed properly with white cotton, and it should be soaked repeatedly with sesame oil and grita, ghee should be administered to the patient after the previous meal has been properly digested. And he looked after everything. And this is how we do a post-op care even today. And then final appearance. So when the graft has been properly taken up, then base should be snapped. So we now know that it takes about 3 weeks for the flap to develop new circulation, and then it can be snapped, and then short graft can be elongated and long graft can be shortened. So this is the final appearance. So this part of the skin here has been put on the nose to recreate the nose. So this is called cheek flap rhinoplasty, described by Sushruta. I did not come across a forehead rhinoplasty, from the forehead by Sushruta, but I'm sure we'll find it somewhere one day. So Sushruta describes lots of instruments, and these are some of his sharp instruments, the needles and the threads, and, he was using cotton and silk for threads. And, he developed all these bone saw and everything. And he also developed blunt instruments, bone forceps and, these forceps for suturing and so on and so forth. And hundreds of instruments he had. And he also used the flap for cleft lip surgery. So this is one of my patients. And I've just shown it here that this is cleft lip. The child is born because the lip hasn't joined up at birth. And so Sushruta took a flap from here and filled it up. Obviously, he was doing it in adults. In children, it will be very difficult to do this surgery. But those who have gone into adulthood with a gap in the, and he described this flap going in and filling the gap. Versus nowadays, and this is the result of one of my surgeries, is we actually join the muscle and we give a very aesthetic and almost normal looking lip here. And this is one of the things which I show about the flap. So this is a cancer of the skin which has been removed here. And I raise a flap. This flap is raised and then it is transposed here and this defect is closed. So this is modern day surgery. And it's nice to have recognition as an awarded world leader of plastic surgery. My name is in Wall of Honor at the Royal Society of Medicine. I'm visiting international professor, alumnus of Harvard Leadership Program. But this book, I think I've summarized a lot of science in Sanskrit Scriptures in this book. So I urge you to please do read it and open to questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Gupta. And thanks everyone who has joined on this call. We will open definitely for discussion. The question that you have, obviously, I mean, the human mind, when you listen each other, there are some queries, some questions that come, some comments do come, and that is how we help each other. In fact, when I was listening to Dr. Gupta, it reminded me one or two things, and I like to make it louder.
Yeah,
The
sure.
the first thing I made me reminded is that गर्व से कहो हम हिंदू हैं. The younger
Vivekanand.
generation asked the question, किस बात का गर्व करें? I mean, the
Yes,
kind of book you have written and the kind of presentation that you have shared, I think it's enough reason for the young people to read and know that what is being today talked as the modern science, it has its origin from the many years in the ancient time.
correct.
So therefore, when somebody tells you like Vivekananda ji, गर्व से कहो हम हिंदू हैं, here is the evidence. We are talking of year 19, not 25, 2025. So as of today, in this century, 21st century, we know there are people like Dr. Gupta who has witnessed. And the beauty is that he is presenting his thoughts well referenced. In fact, in the modern day, the younger people are taught, why should I believe you? Okay, you are my father, you are my grandfather. Why should I believe you? If you bring up a reference, well, they say, okay, it has a reference now. So you have done a great service
Thank
by
you. Yeah.
bringing about this book. And I'm thankful to all the participants of the Hindu Book Club who have joined together and have listened to you. The second thought which crosses my head is that Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji was once asked the question, which sometimes the press, I mean, to embarrass you, will ask that, are you Hindu or are you Bharatiya? That was the question that was asked to him. And this question is asked even today to Yogi ji and many other. And press thinks that this secular India should get the answer, I am first Bharatiya, then Hindu. But I'm reminded that Atal Bihari ji has answered that question as a reference for all of us. He said, Bhai, I am both. When I see me as a Hindu, I am linked to the Brahman, the whole cosmos. When I see myself as Bharatiya, I am linked to a geography. So when you say Bharatiya, it has got a naksha, it has got a map, it has got a boundary, you get linked to that. But when you call yourself a Hindu, suddenly, for no reason, you become, I would say, having that gift of all the work that has been done by our ancestors. And I'm glad that you have brought the science in Sanskrit Scriptures. And you have enough references. And I would say that it is worth reading by the younger generation to see that an active surgeon, I mean, who has been recognized across the world, he is able to give you those references. So I would say that these are the two thoughts which just crossed my head when I was listening you. and I will open this call for the comments, for the questions, if anybody has got. I'm glad quite a number of people have participated. From which part, well, I don't know, but thanks to Zoom, I feel really say that Zoom has done a great service. So Zoom,
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And we can unmute all of them now. If we can unmute, and I will encourage the discussion because discussion is vital. People need to clarify, and this is my mission now is to actually remove all doubts. Like Arjuna was relieved of all his doubts, and so we need to be very sure. There are things which are not discussed. Maybe I can discuss if some question comes up. So please unmute everybody, sir, and ask me a question.
Can I start?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, my name's Rami. So I'm just curious to know, with the knowledge in, say, Sushruta, which you've looked at, are there gaps which have now been filled by modern medicine, or is it complete knowledge in Sushruta?
Oh yeah, well, this is very interesting topic because I keep being asked this question. Now I am at the moment trying to decipher as much knowledge as was available, and we really need to know and what all they knew about, and then its comparison is pointless because what we need to understand is that our Hindu Sanskriti and knowledge was highly evolved. I think this is my main point here that I'm trying to say. And this book I've written only to appreciate that we knew about atoms, we knew about time, we knew about atomic time, and we knew about surgery, medicine, because it all grew hand in hand. The spirituality is not separate. It's a part and parcel of life. And life needs science as well as spirituality. So this is and in fact, this is my second book I'm writing is spirituality in Sanskrit Scripture. A lot of people say that what is spirituality, what is consciousness, what is universal. I want to say, where is it written? What does Lord Shri Krishna says? What does Brahmaji says? In Brahma Samhita, so all the big books in which they are fully referenced, and there are at least my earliest reference in my book is 1500-year-old of Aryabhatta. And all the references are like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, or even older than that. So then that's why I call them scriptures. So we cannot even fathom what they knew before we can say, how much they knew. So my request is for everybody to open their minds and start thinking that there was a very, very scientific way in which our knowledge has been, transmitted. And we should understand it, not only understand it, but for the future generation, make them understand it.
Can I just ask one more very quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Was there any mention of like using anesthetics for the surgery?
Yes. The opium was around, so they used opium quite a lot. And of course, some kind of alcohol was also around at that time, so they used that. But there was no general anesthetic because Sushruta actually said that surgeon has to be very quick. He actually mentioned in one of the shlokas that he has to be very sharp, very quick, and the instrument should be very fine, and you'll be able to divide the hair, slit the hair in two. And so so we know that if we do sharp, quick surgery with some sedation, then we can still do a lot of surgeries, which he describes.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Yes.
Hi, Dr. Yash Gupta.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Ashwin Sampath. I just wanted to know, from the scriptures point of view, I'm always reading this Gita and the Bhagavad. And now, what is the next one you suggest would be the right one, or in the series? The Brahma Samhita, Vedanta, or which one?
Yes, this is a very interesting question. Because what happened is the Vedas, the Vedic knowledge, which is I
Yes.
call the Indian knowledge system, which is called, and this has been there from Sanatan, from time immemorial that we've had
Yes.
this. Now, what Lord Krishna did in 3139 BC. Now we know the dates of Mahabharata war. We know the exact dates of when the war happened, and we have calculated that date to be 3139 BC, exact date.
Okay.
So Krishna, on the first day of Mahabharata war, summarized all the information that was existent at that time for the benefit of clarifying confusion of Arjuna.
Right.
Yeah. So this is so I say that if you in Gita, would you believe that there is mention of anus, parmanus in Gita and spoken by Lord Shri Krishna? And it says in a verse when in Bhagwatam Purana, they are recalling that at the end of when Krishna's life, Krishna was on earth for 125 years, and
Yes.
in 3228 BC he appeared on earth, and 3102 BC he left earth. So at that time, Uddhav asked him that, "Oh Krishna, I've been with you all this time. Why don't you take me along to your, to your, Loka, Vishnu Loka?" So he says, "It's not that easy." He says, "You will have to learn and do a lot of stuff." So he says, "Okay, teach me." So I said, "Okay, I can only tell you what I told Arjuna 40 years ago." So he tells him. So that is called um, Uddhav Gita. That is known as Uddhav Gita. So
Yes.
that
Yes.
is in
Uddhav Gita. I'm familiar.
11th canto of Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
So in the end, Uddhav is very fascinated because he knew him as a earthly person, गवाले गायें चरा रहे हैं, ये कर रहे हैं, वो कर रहे हैं. He did not know the mystical powers of Krishna.
Yes.
So he says, "What are your mystical powers?" So he tells him, "Who am I?" He says, "Of the wielders of the weapons, I'm Ram. Of the wealthy, I'm Kuber." And so he's telling all the vibhutis. So he says,
Right.
"More, more." So Krishna says, at the at even at a given time, I can count the atoms in this universe, but I
Right.
still will not be able to count my vibhutis.
Right.
Sankhyanam parmanunam kalena kriyate maya nata yathema vibhutinam srajato annani kotisha.
Right.
Over a period of time, parmanu is atom. So over
Atom.
a
Yeah.
period of time, I can count the atoms in this universe. This is a thousands and thousands year old verse. So we are, I think and we should have a very integrated knowledge, because this is what I keep saying is all very integrated. The science, the practical life, and the spiritual life, they all are together. They are
Yes.
all together. And once we understand how fantastic the science is and how closely it compares to some of the modern concepts, and in some ways excels the modern concepts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, in fact, I think the young generation should realize that we have all this knowledge, but I don't think so it is getting appreciated that much.
Well, I'm trying my best. I do engage
Yes,
with youngsters, and they are fascinated because I teach them logically, because they will not understand didactically now.
yes, yes. But tell me something. So in English also, this Brahma Samhita and all this is available?
Yes, they are available. Yes, they are available. So
Oh, I see.
yeah, but I would urge you to first read Gita properly, because everything is written in Gita. It is a summary of all the Vedantas. Everything is a summary. Everything is, and the system of life described by Lord Shri Krishna and the value system described is unparalleled.
Yes, yes. That I have read, I mean, at least about, I think, 5 times. And
Yeah,
every time I read, there is something new light.
there's
There
something
is always a
new.
new light.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Somebody else? Yeah, there
Well,
was.
on this question,
There's, yeah.
I have a comment. On this question,
Yeah.
which book should we read? I received a phone call only last week from one of the person in India, and she asked me this question. She said that my daughter is in the Middle East, and she says that in Middle East there is no confusion. Everybody is clear which is the book of dharma that they have to refer to. So they will go to Quran, they will go to this kind of thing. She says that I want to inculcate this habit of knowing our culture. So in my home, I want to know that which book as a Hindu should I start reading?
Ah,
First
right.
thing. So that was the kind of question. And that friend of mine from from India, she said that, okay, I'll refer her to you and maybe you can give some guidance. Now, based
Absolutely.
on my limited knowledge, what I told I want to share in this group.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Yeah, I said that look, the the distinguished characteristic of the Hindu culture is the family. We are what we are because we valued family. And I
Yeah.
would say that all our younger generation, they should be given the sanskara of the family. And if you want to read about what a optimal family should be, even in the modern age, no, I would say that we should start reading Ramcharitmanas. I mean, the Sanskrit language we have left behind. So I'm not saying that read the Valmiki ji's Ramayana in Sanskrit. Of course, let that young girl start with the Ramcharitmanas, and she should get the good values of the family. I mean, what should be the relationship between the younger generation and the older generation? They can pick up from there. The next thing is that in this world, when you want to take that leadership position, read Bhagavad Gita. When we read Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavad Gita, Dr. Gupta, we talk of Vidya, which has been, I would say, brokenly translated into education. And education also, as we move to the West, we find that we are focusing on science, social science, physical sciences, science, and science and science. And we believe that the West is more advanced compared to the East because they talk of science, they put science in everything. But in Bhagavad Gita itself, you come across two words. One is Gyan and other is Vigyan. Vidya, when our ancestors used to go for education, they were trained in two things, not just Vigyan, which is translated directly into science, but the other component of it is Gyan. Now, what does this Gyan and Vigyan signify to me? In my humble understanding, what I've seen is that there are two realities in which we live. One is the manifest and other is the unmanifest. Now, spirituality in Sanskrit scriptures, which you are going to pick it up, well, I believe that you are going to now deal with the unmanifest. This science, by definition, is that is observable with the human eye. And therefore, this is part of the Vidya. This is part of the education which was given to our ancestors, I would say. And today, we have been mesmerized by this word science from the West. But you have responded very well because whatever the check boxes they have listed up, you have met them all. In your
Thank you,
book,
sir. Thank you.
you have given the reference from where it is coming. And actually, in science, there are two words. One is the observation, and second is the experimentation, a repetition of the experimentation. So I would say that if anybody wants to want to use those principles which have been listed up in our ancient scriptures, well, here is the reference you can refer to and you can do it. And
I can also suggest something, Satchi, that my WhatsApp number is with Pooja ji, and people can directly connect me with on WhatsApp and ask me any number of questions and connect. And I can even give one-to-one because sometimes the concepts are so many that you have to understand each concept before you can get to the bigger concept. Now, Deodarji has been wanting to ask a question. Deodar, please. Mr. Deodar?
Yes.
Yeah.
My voice is listening to you.
Pardon?
Hello.
Hello?
I am. Hello.
Can't hear
My
you
voice
properly.
is listening. You are listening my voice?
Yes, go ahead,
Yes.
please.
Okay. My question is that. Yes. My question is that in Western world, there are scientists like Frio Capra. Then there is Edgar Michael, that is Institute of Ionic Sciences. Likewise, there are some other scientists also. They have come up with the findings
Cutting off. You're cutting off.
finding or research or understanding the Hindu society. Our Hindu society still is in a imposition of Western colonization mindset. We are not coming out of that. And for example, whatever the things you presented right now, 16 solar sanskar. So we are forgetting something like that, or we are ignoring like that.
Yeah,
And
okay. I can answer that. That is a very interesting question, because I will answer that in detail in my second book, because this is through sanskaras. This is subliminal learning. Subliminal learning. So we learn about our culture and Sanskriti and the value system subliminally through our sanskaras. That's why we have the solar sanskaras. That with each sanskara, we are ingraining those values. But these things are not happening as much. But we can still interact with our children. And first of all, we have to be fully. You know what? I'll give you one example. I was speaking to a professor of history from Oxford. This is about a year ago. And I said, I worked at Oxford at Radcliffe Infirmary, famous, world famous. I was doing plastic surgery there. So he said, I said, you are the world leader on history. Oxford professor of history is supposed to be the final authority. So I said, tell me, when was the Mahabharata war fought? So he said, oh, Dr. Gupta, this is a myth. Mahabharata war is a myth. This was his answer. So I said, if I told you that Mahabharata war was fought in 3139 BC, and we have proof of that, what would you say to that? So he said, oh, you mean that is before Egyptians? I said, you're so stuck at Egyptians. You can't comprehend anything before Egyptians. I said, you need to go and read up the history properly again. And this is one of my, again, another mission is that we are not teaching proper history. Even people who are translating works of Gita and Mahabharata are dating this to be like, some say 500 BC, some will say 1000 BC, maximum they say 1500 BC. We have exact dates. Aryabhatta has written in his Ganit Pada that 60 times 60, 3600 years of Kali Yuga passed, and I'm 23-year-old. And so if you at 500 AD, you take out that, it comes to 3102 BC, the Kali Yuga. So that is 5,100 years ago. So I think we need to get hold that this is itihasa. Mahabharata is not a mythology. Ramayana is not a mythology. They are itihasa. Iti means thus, has means happened. It thus happened. And it has been very correctly and in detail been penned by Valmiki ji and Vyas ji. So, in fact, we should be totally convinced about the historicity of Ramachandra and Sri Krishna. And then only we will be convinced enough to tell our kids and know a little bit more. You need to read. You need to read Gita. You need to read Ramayana. You need to read Bhagwatam in some form or the other. Not fully. It's not easy. They are big granthas. Mahabharata is 100,000 verses. Even this Bhagwatam Purana is 18,000 verses. How can one read 18,000 verses? But luckily, there have been very good translations. We can just read the translation. I read the shlokas as well because I was fascinated by the Sanskrit descriptions, original Sanskrit description. But one doesn't have to read that. If you just read the translation like a book, one will understand a lot more about our Sanskriti. But first premise is that please, please, please accept that it happened. And then everything will fall into place. We continue to be eternal skeptics. I think this is the biggest misfortune of ours, is that such a great science and cultural and spiritual history we have, and then we call it like mythology.
Yeah, I have a friend. I can intervene here just to say that I think now that awakening is all around, and I have a friend who has challenged this mythology word of the West, because they will just put the word, oh, it's mythology. And he has responded with the alternative that's called satology. So actually, yeah, he has added
Even
this word.
even we can have a, in the intermediate way, we can call it Puranic. Puranic, so Puranic or Aitihasic, we can call it Aitihasic,
Yeah.
which is a better way. Anybody else has got any? Please. Anybody? Anybody? Any?
Yes, one other question.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Worldwide, people are practicing yoga. Even Hindus are also practicing. But the observation is that people only derive the benefits of yoga, but they are not able to connect to the philosophy and spiritual content of the yoga. Patanjali Yoga Sutra,
Yes,
then
yes.
Shad
Okay, that's a
Darshana.
very good
Every
question. That's a very good question. Now, there are two aspects of yoga. One is the physical aspect, and the other is the spiritual aspect. And of course, yoga is to connect. So, and in Gita, if you read Gita, there are very nice explanations of what is yoga. Okay. So sammatvam yoga uchyate. So that is what he's saying. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yoga is doing your duty in a very nice way is also yoga. So the yoga has got very many definitions, but physical yoga has also been very well described and has been practiced by our Rishi Munis and even Ramchandraji and Krishna, because it is very good for a healthy life. So I think both are important. Anybody
Okay,
else?
one suggestion, that many of us read Bhagavad Gita. My suggestion is that all of us who read Bhagavad Gita, they should read what is printed at the end of each of the 18 chapters. There is one shloka which is printed at the end of each of the chapter. When you will read that, this will tell you what Bhagavad Gita is exactly about. I mean, generally we say it's a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, but when you read that concluding sloka, which is printed at the end of each of the chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you come to see two words: Brahma Vidyayam Yog Shastre. Gita
Krishna
is,
Arjuna Samvade.
yeah. So it's basically Brahm Vidyayam Yog Shastre. It is that Shastra which connects you with the Brahm Vidya. And when we use the word Vidya, Vidya is made up of both Gyan and Vigyan, that is manifest and that is not manifest to the human eye. And I would say that, as someone said, that when we read Bhagavad Gita, we always get a new meaning out of that. Absolutely, it happens. No? It does.
Anyway, thank you very much, Saji. Any question? A lot of scientists are there there are few scientists in the audience. Are there scientists? Any scientists? Please. No. Okay.
Well, I would say
So
all of them are scientists, some may be social
yeah, no,
scientists.
because I wanted fun, but just one final thing I wanted to say and then close it. If I asked, give me a small unit of time, what would you say to that? You'll say maybe a second. So I'll say, what is a second? Second is 1/60th of a minute. And what is a minute? It's 1/60th of an hour. What is an hour? 1/24th of a day. What is a day? Rotation of Earth around its own axis. This is how we have the concept of time. If I asked you what is atomic time, what would you say to that? Anybody? You can unmute and tell me that anybody knows what is atomic time? Oh, we all have watches which go by atomic time. It's vital these days, atomic time. No? If I asked you, you don't know, where will you look it up? You will say, I'll Google it. That's the standard answer. I'll Google it. So try Googling it, and it will tell you that atomic time is generated from a laboratory in California. It will not give you the concept of atomic time. Then you say, oh, okay, look up at a physics book. Well, I read physics at the highest level. I never came across the concept of atomic time. Then where should I look? If I say you look up Canto 3, Chapter 11, Shlokas 1 to 20, what would you say to that? You will be amazed. You will say, oh, Bhagwatam, वो तो 7 दिन का वो होता है, पूजन होता है, उसमें वो भजन गाते हैं. Why you're talking about atomic time in Bhagwatam Purana? And this is the beauty which I want to bring out. The first shloka says the smallest unit of matter capable of independent existence is called atom. Second says the 2 atoms make a double atom, is called anu. So parmanu, then anu. 3 anus, when they fuse, is called trisyanu. Trisyanu. So trisyanu has got how many atoms? 6. Yeah. And it says the time it takes for fusion of 3 trisyanus is called truti. Trisyanu trikam bhankate sa kalen truti samrate. That time is known as truti. And so on and so forth. So this goes from atomic time to kalpa cycle. And I calculated the value of truti to be 1/675th of a second, 16/75th of a second, which is 500 microseconds. And this is in my book. So what are we saying here? And this is what I want to bring out, that, we should have a different way of looking at our scriptures. And we should take off this, veil, saying that, oh no, this is only for the sannyasis and the puja part, bahut jo karte hain, ye wo. This is for scientists, for everyday life, for every walk of life. It is, our life is not different to our spirituality. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say that please read, please absorb, please write. You will find new meanings and you will be connected with the community. You will be serving the community. But I think if there is any more question, this is the last chance. We have spent about an hour together, an hour and 5 minutes. We are still open. I would say that I would like to close it in the next 5 minutes. If no more questions are coming or no more observations, our experiences are being shared. So last call. I mean, if you have any question, any observation, any experience to share.
As Naveen Gupta is here, Professor Naveen Gupta is here.
Yeah, he's there. I can see.
He's very good smiley face.
Namaskar.
I
will only say that
great guy.
Dr. Gupta was mentioning, I heard him all the time, so good. And I can say that he's the embodiment of knowledge. And so that's why we call Vidyavan. Vidyavan Gunyati Chatur. Ram Kaj Karibeko Atur.
Thank you.
Then I will say one thing about the time which he talked. And I will not ask any, because when I know the question, I never ask. Know the answer, then I never ask. I just say. So in the human physiology, the minutest unit of time is the Akshinimesha.
Akshinimesha, the Palak Japan. This is Sushruta has described
Sushruta's reference that the minutest time of in human physiology is Akshinimesha.
Yeah, that's a practical time.
One Akshinimesh, that is the physiological time. And from this time, all the time has been calculated, like digestion time, like sleeping time, like heart rate, like breath rate. Every single time calculation has been done because on the basis of Akshinimesha. Thank you so much, sir. And you are so beautiful, Satparasharji. You handled so good. And would be the next one to be member of the Hindu Book Club then. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I wish you the very best, and I thank once again all the participants. I'm sure Dr. Gupta's presentation has really given us many thoughts, and you can pursue them on their own. And I would say that we'll be proud to host any of you. I mean, if you have anything to share in this club. Now, Hindu Book Club, you can imagine to write a book is not easy. I'm sure whatever the studies Dr. Gupta completed and traveled all over the world, he must have taken many more hours to put all this into this book. And his resolution to write another book, sir, congratulations and the very best to you. And we look forward to having you one time more to hear what did you notice about the spirituality in the in our Sanskrit scriptures. No? So
Absolutely.
very best to you. We look forward to staying.
Thank you, Sajid. Thank you, Pooja. Thank you, Navinji. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I think Rajiv Verma ji is doing a great service to all of us by bringing us all together. And Rajiv Verma ji and Pooja ji, these are the people who are behind all that actually happens. No? So these are all good thoughts which fly in the air, but to execute it, these are the two persons who are doing tremendous
Absolutely.
work.
Absolutely.
And in addition to thanking all the participants and Dr. Gupta, I'd like to thank Ms. Pooja, and she's currently based, I think, in Pakistan. And I'd like to thank Rajiv Verma ji, I mean, who's giving all the support through his Hindu Heritage Foundation of America. So he is running this foundation for many, many years. And with these words, I wish you the very best. It is the weekend coming. I mean, as you said, I don't know, it's a strong end or weekend, but we call it in the West the weekend.
Yeah.
And we have a pleasant Saturday and Sunday.
Thank you.
And
May I suggest that we can start a community Hindu heritage on the WhatsApp group, and then we can interact through that as well. That'll be very nice.
Yeah, please get in touch. And I think these are good thoughts, like Dr. Gupta said, that we can have the WhatsApp group, which is Hindu Heritage, and all of us who have interest, I mean, in this subject, I think all of us must have an interest. It's not that
Absolutely.
who have, I mean, you see, in the West, we learn familiarity breeds contempt. But Ramcharit Manas, Tulsidas ji say, bin partiti na ho priti. How can you really like someone unless you know someone? And to know someone, I think these are the very good avenues where we can meet in the book club. We can stay in touch with the WhatsApp group. And
Yes.
technology is doing a great service to all of us now. I'm sure all of us are sitting in different parts of the world. I mean, I'm sitting in Arizona, in USA, and Dr. Gupta is in London, and Pooja, I believe, is in Pakistan, and all other friends. They may be, I mean, all over the place on this planet, but we are together. Well, thank you for taking out your
Thank
time,
you.
and I
Thank you,
look forward
sir.
to staying in touch. Miss Pooja has already put a in the chat.
WhatsApp link is there. WhatsApp group link is there. You can join. Also, you can access the recording is there. The YouTube link. You can just click there and you will get.
Thank you,
recording.
Pooja. I have to go now. Thank you for all your help. Thank you, Sachi.
Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you,
everybody.
everyone, for joining.
Okay,
Thank you.
Pooja ji, we can close this now.